On September 30th, Canada will recognize its first formal National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a federal holiday and opportunity to recognize and commemorate the legacy of Canada's residential school program. From 1894 onwards, over 150,000 Métis, Inuit, and First Nations children were forcibly taken from their families and communities and placed in residential schools. The Canadian government called this process assimilation, but we now recognize a more accurate term to be cultural genocide, a conscious state-sponsored attempt to erase Canada's Indigenous culture from history. As a parent, it's hard for me to process the horror these children endured. They were forced to cut their hair, speak only English or French, and to renounce their spiritual beliefs, often with the constant threat of violence and punishment. Physical, psychological, and sexual abuse were rife, with some schools even conducting scientific and medical tests on the children. Today, it's thought that between 5,000 and 10,000 children never left these schools alive. Since the early 1990s, over 1,800 unmarked graves have been found on the school sites, including the much publicized findings this summer with the 215 unmarked graves in Kamloops, British Columbia. It is hard to resolve our love for the countries where we live and work with the social and racial injustices that are inseparable from our histories. But if we want to truly heal our societies and reconcile, then it's something we must commit to. Observing Truth and Reconciliation Day is one way to begin this process. Jacobs is committed to taking meaningful, tangible actions to address inequity and promote awareness of Indigenous history and cultures. We're in the process of implementing anti-Indigenous racism training across our Canadian offices, with the aim of expanding the training to all staff globally. We're also conducting Indigenous awareness training sessions on key projects. And most importantly, we're partnering with Indigenous communities, not just in Canada, but in the US, Australia, and New Zealand, to remove barriers to bringing Indigenous talent into our Jacobs family and our supply chain. There are also meaningful actions you can take today. Join me on September 30th by observing Orange Shirt Day, an event started in 2013 to honor the children of the residential schools. Wherever you are in the world, I encourage you to remember their story, share it with others, and commit to challenging injustice and inequality in the communities that you serve.